All right, guys, we got a good one. We got a good one. 10 reasons why tourists don't like Costa Rica. 10 reasons, maybe even the top 10 reasons tourists don't like Costa Rica, and we're going to get to that in a minute. It's going to be good. Anyway, guys, I'm Michael Allen, TravelCostaRicaNow.com. TravelCostaRicaNow.com is a travel agency. So why am I making this video? Anyway, guys, go to TravelCostaRicaNow.com. Fill out the 4-minute form and you'll be that much closer to the vacation of a lifetime. We're like you, having best friends who live in Costa Rica, who know Costa Rica, totally hooking up your Costa Rica vacation. And I'd appreciate a subscribe. YouTube's tough. The subscriptions thing helps me, and I would appreciate it, especially if you appreciate videos like these. Anyway, guys, my coffee on this one has its own chair for this video, because this is important. All right. These are probably the top 10 reasons tourists don't like Costa Rica. Now some of these are very legit complaints. Very legit complaints, but I want to do a little bit of clarification on some of these. I want to maybe clear up some of the misconceptions on some of these as well. And these are in no particular order except for the first one. The first one is probably the one you hear the most. And there's some truth to it. Okay, let's do it. Number one reason tourists don't like Costa Rica: it's too expensive. You hear it all the time. Oh my God, Costa Rica's so expensive. There's so many other places you can go. It's so expensive there. I just got back and it's so expensive. You know what? It can be expensive. You are exactly right. It can be. I would agree with that to a certain extent. But you tourists, you have to take some responsibility for this, because what you did, if you did this yourself, you went to TripAdvisor. You probably went to the first page of hotels. That one looks good. Maybe Airbnb or wherever you're looking. You're seeing maybe a page of things and you're picking from that page. You don't know the options. You don't know what's cheaper. You don't really know the good things to do, really. You think you do. You think you do because you did your research. But you researched maybe 5 things. 5 things you don't really know, and you didn't email your friends from TravelCostaRicaNow.com, the people that live here and know Costa Rica, totally hooking up your vacation. So you have to take a little bit of responsibility. A lot of you want a champagne vacation on a beer budget, all right? And sometimes that's not going to happen. Do you want to stay in 5 stars? Yes. But I'm just telling you, it doesn't have to be that expensive. You make it so. You go to the tourist hotspots. You go to the restaurants. You don't know where to go. You don't know where to go. So in that case, yes, it can be expensive, and I would agree. But it does not have to be. It does not have to be. All right, number two. This has been a thing for about 20 to 30 years, and definitely for as long as I've been here, for 15. Renting a car in Costa Rica, man. I say this all the time, it is fraught with peril. It's fraught with peril, man. They just have this thing where, I'm not going to get into it because I have so many videos about this. The price isn't the price. So when you go pick up the car, it's not the price, and there's a bunch of shit added on, and it's very annoying, and it can totally get your vacation started on the wrong foot, especially if you're traveling on a budget, because all of a sudden you have a car on your credit card for $2,000 deposit, you know, and you didn't know this, and you can't do anything about it, or you're in another country. Try to walk out of the rental car place. What are you going to do? They know that. They know that. Now, luckily, I have a simple fix to that. Write me. I have one for you. Transparent price, good service, good cars. The price is the price. But anyway, the rental car thing is a thing down here. It is real. It is very, very hard to do your own research on rental cars here, man. It's very, very hard. There's a lot of manipulated websites. There's deception. There's, people saying, oh, this was the best car I ever had, you know, all the made up stuff. So it's tough. So if you just want to bypass all that, write me. But rental cars, that's number 2. Number 3, this is another one I believe that is a little unfair. And we're talking about food. everybody says the same thing. Oh, rice and beans, rice and beans, rice and beans. Okay, here's what's true. The plate, what they kind of tend to eat every day is a variation of rice and beans. It's called the casado. That means marriage. It's a marriage of rice and beans, usually a meat, usually a little bit of salad, and usually a plantain. So everybody's like, wow, that's just so bland. There's no spice. It's everywhere. Yes, it's everywhere because it's what they eat. It's what they eat. But it's not all what they eat. There are very talented chefs here. You can go anywhere. You can go in most places in Costa Rica that you're going to go and find sushi, good ribs, nice steaks, all of it. Peruvian, Thai food. You know, this whole thing that like the food's not here. Okay, no one told you have to eat rice and beans. If I go to the States and I don't like mashed potatoes, but your food is mashed potatoes and a meat, maybe I call that bland. But you would say, well, you go down the street and you can get this food over here and you can do this. But there's another thing. So the casados do tend to be the cheap form of eating down here if you're traveling on a budget. And it is, and it can be a little bland sometimes. But there's this thing called the Tabasco sauce. There's also one of the best condiments ever invented is called Lozano. Guess where that came from? Here in Costa Rica, people take bottles back of Lozano. It definitely can spice up your food. So this whole thing about the food is, yes, it's their local food of rice and beans, but come on, man, you don't have to quit acting like you got to eat that. And actually, I do like that. I do have rice and beans a lot, and they make really good. You can find places that make really good gallo pinto. The Caribbean side has a lot of flavorful food down there. So I'm getting tired. It's one of those things where you repeat something so much. The food's bland, the food's bland, the food's bland, and everybody believes the food's bland. It can be, doesn't have to be, and you can get any kind of food you want here. All right? So that's number 3. Number 4 is bewilders me a bit, and I kind of put it in the, 2 things in the same category. First, it's rain. I put rain and bugs as number 4. Now, rain is funny because do you not know Costa Rica is a tropical country? Do you know why it's so beautiful? Do you know why people come here? Do you know about the flora and fauna? Do you know why the sloths and the butterflies and these beautiful trees and plants exist? Because this perfect combination of sun and rain and all that is why you want to come here. But it rains here. But the thing is, it's not, a lot of people, they go, well, Michael, I know it's the rainy season, that's not a really good time. It's not like during the rainy season, you turn on a faucet March 1st and then don't turn off the faucet until like June 1st. It's not always raining. It rains more sometimes than others. It tends to start raining later afternoon and in the evening. A lot of times the mornings are good, but then different parts of the country. So I made a video a little bit ago, and I was talking about, you know, they were saying a lot of rain's coming, a lot of rain's coming. Well, it did, but in Guanacaste it didn't. I was up there, sun shining every day, blue sky and hot. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's the rainy season, the kind of dry season, but I wouldn't let that stop you necessarily because, again, you write people like us, and I can kind of spot you around. Not saying it wouldn't rain, not saying it wouldn't rain, but I just, and you know, the rain can be beautiful here, and it shouldn't stop you from really doing much of anything here. Now, the other one, which is kind of strange to me too, I see this a lot because I had Airbnbs, D'Angelo has Airbnbs, my friends do as well, and people like to complain about bugs. Oh my gosh, you should have saw the ants on the counter. I couldn't believe it. It was so, the house was nice, it was really nice, but the ants, I mean, that just shows you that the house must have been dirty. You know, it's amazing. Again, we live in the tropics. Bugs love, you know, moisture and sun and shadows and stuff, and we have a lot of them here, and they're very interesting, very interesting. So yeah, you might see a cockroach scurry across the floor. Now, if you saw 50 cockroaches, that would be a problem. I think anybody would agree, right? But there are bugs here, and they can be extremely interesting. But if you're scared of bugs, if you are, you're worried about that, then I guess maybe Costa Rica isn't really for you. But there are bugs down here. There are bugs, and you see some of the weirdest looking bugs ever down here. Me and D'Angelo find it fascinating. I mean, we run into something that's crazy that you've never seen before. But a lot of people that rent down here expect this bug-free zone or something from the house. So you want monkeys and sloths out your window, and you want the toucans to come by. No bugs, no bugs. Just quick on the bug thing, because snakes, we have snakes down here as well. If you stay where you're supposed to be, your likelihood, you might see a snake, but you're not really going to have a snake problem down here unless you venture off the path, if you know what I mean. We have a lot of them down here, and I think about 17 are venomous. But if you're doing what you're supposed to and listening to people, you shouldn't have a problem with snakes. So, number five. I get this a lot. I get this statement, or I guess it's feedback. I don't know what it is, but people go, Michael, I just left San Jose and I couldn't believe all the barbed wire, all the bars on the houses. It's like, it looks like there's a war zone or something with, it's everywhere. Well, it is everywhere. It is everywhere. But just to keep this in perspective, what would be the cheapest really form, besides maybe a dog, to protect your house? So they don't have key cards. They don't have security people at their front gates. They don't have, they have gated communities here sometimes, but a lot of it is just people personally protecting their house. And the easiest and cheapest way to do that is bars. And for businesses, it's barbed wire. And that's really why you see it a lot, is because it's the least expensive. They can't have a security guard with a machine gun guarding their business every night. They just don't have it like that. So I wouldn't really throw that stone too much, because this is a different country than yours. And, we don't have all of these gates going up and the guard asking you and key card stuff all the time. So that's why you see it. They want to personally protect. And the cool thing about here, or the good thing, is when you have the bars on your house, and you can put nice bars on your house, you're good. You're pretty good. Somebody's going to pretty much walk right by that. They're not going to, they're not even going to try, right? So it's a nice, effective way of protecting your property. Anyway, so that's why you see a lot of barbed wire and bars on windows here. Okay, number six. Number six used to be close to the top reason. It's really gotten better, and that's driving in Costa Rica. I still get a lot of people that are scared to drive here. They've heard the stories, they've seen maybe some of the older things. Driving can be scary here for some reasons, but it can be scary because they got really curvy roads. It can be foggy, and people are walking 3 abreast in the street, and you're like, or a animal can jump out type. That stuff can really happen, and we don't really encourage people that don't really know the roads here to drive at night. But the roads themselves have gotten much better. I remember we used to drive around the Arenal Lake. It took forever. There were potholes. I mean, big potholes everywhere. And they had a lot of that problem with a lot of roads down here. They've done a pretty good job of upgrading their roads. And especially for like the traveler of going from San Jose to, let's say, La Fortuna, the road's fine. The road is fine. But there are some places during the rainy season where the rainy season makes the roads bad, like for instance, the Osa Peninsula. So yes, driving could be fraught with peril because of the rain. But people used to, the reason Costa Rica got the bad rap in the beginning was the quality of the roads. It wasn't, the fog and the other things I mentioned. It was strictly the construction of the roads or lack of keeping them up. I just want to tell you that that's gotten much better. So the driving down here is, roads are better, but you should still be leery, you know, just because of all the other reasons driving can be interesting here. Number 7. Taxi drivers. You know, taxi drivers, in my opinion, deserve a special circle in Dante's Inferno. And I think taxi drivers are kind of like this around the world. I think they are. You know, I don't know, man, but here's a couple things to remember. Don't tip a taxi driver. Ever. All right? Don't tip him. Got it? The other thing, they're not your friend. The taxi driver is not your friend. All right? So just remember that. And the other thing is, if he doesn't turn on his meter, get out of the car. The meter, the Spanish word for meter here is Maria. Maria. If the Maria is not working, do not get in that car. Okay, don't get in that car. You've got to watch them. Taxi drivers, like I said, the same pretty much all over the world. They're no different here. I've had about, in the 15 years I've lived here, I've had about 5 altercations with taxi drivers. One time, I guess they didn't know I lived here and they tried to overcharge me, and I refused to pay him and just gave him the money that I know how much it cost. In other words, he said 5,000 colones, which is the unit of money down here. And I was like, it's not that, that's bullshit. And I gave him 3,000 and just left. I've gotten out of a cab twice when there was issues. We've had a few run-ins with the taxi drivers, and I live here, so I don't, you know, you would be leery of doing that. I am not. So I could understand you're in another country. You're not going to feel comfortable with like arguing with the taxi driver or that. So again, don't tip. They're not your friend, and tell them to turn on the Maria. Maria, okay? That was number 7. Number 8. This one's so true. This is probably one of the truest, legitimate gripes. Service. Service here tends to suck. It does. I don't know. They think of it as a job. They don't care. They're just there. It's like I gave you your food. What do you care? Do I have to smile to do that? If you want a beer, flag me down. You want your check? Flag me down. You know, they lose so much money, man, especially as a prior drinker, while drunk. You know, they could make a lot of money off me if they just continue to bring me beers, but you know, they don't do it like that down here for the most part. So the service in restaurants and bars, some stores, souvenir shops, it's like they, you know, hola, you know, it's like they don't really care. Now, I do want to make a distinction between the service industry of restaurants, bars, stores, souvenir shops, those kind of places, versus the tourism down here. Man, you're going to get top-notch service down here, whether it's your rafting guide, you know, whether you're zip lining, whether you know, we hook you up with the private driver. You're going to get people that talk English. You're going to get people that, you know, want to pull over the car and let you take a picture of a sloth. They're going to be, you know, very gregarious when they're working with you, like in whatever tour they are. So the service industry is, as far as tourism, is top-notch here. And maybe they deserve a tip, or maybe they don't, or whatever, but those people are good. But when it comes to bars and restaurants and that, if you find good service, and remember, in restaurants and bars, on the receipt, they add 10% anyway for a service charge, which the tip. So that's enough. With that, you rarely need to tip any more than what's on. They're going to charge you on the receipt. Okay, number 9, San Jose. Oh my God, San Jose is a dirty, nasty city. Oh, I can't. It was so gross. It's so, man. It's a freaking city, man. We're in Costa Rica. It's like the Detroit, you know, whatever. Now, is there a few, if you're stuck in San Jose for a day or 2 days, there's some things you can do, man. There's a place called Barrio Moon, which has these big old coffee baron mansions that were converted to restaurants, and there's very interesting things down there. They do have their museums down there that are interesting. They have some walking tours, you know, that are interesting. I've done these things, so if you're down there, you can do some things. But man, you don't want, and they do have prostitution down there, and you know, some people never leave San Jose because of like the prostitution. But you, 95% of you, you know, get the fuck out of San Jose, right? I mean, that's Costa Rica, but that's not what you're coming to see. You're not coming to see, but some people are there for a day or a day and a half, and there's some things to do. Just go down in the kind of the touristy part. There's, you know, museums down there, and there's a couple interesting things, but other than that, you don't want to be spending a whole lot of time in San Jose. Number 10, also very legitimate gripe about one of the reasons tourists don't like Costa Rica, and that is petty theft. They are, you know, they're going to do something out of opportunity. You know, did you leave your laptop on your seat of your car with your car unlocked? You know, are you watching your stuff? Are you careless? Are you a conscientious traveler? Do you know what you're doing? Do you use common sense? You pretty much won't have a problem. The chances of you hitting, you know, being at risk of like a strong arm, you know, robbery towards you is almost nil and none. It can happen, obviously, but it normally doesn't happen. Everything down here is because, you know, maybe you kind of goofed up and you left your cell phone, man. Unfortunately, a lot of them just don't make that much money, and you know, they're going to take things. So, but common sense traveling, lock up your stuff, watch your stuff, you know, all that. And I got a million videos about those things. Then you'll have no problem down here, no problem. All right, guys, that was I think pretty much the top 10. Now, if anybody wants to add to that list, or they think I missed something, please comment on it. You know, maybe I did miss something. I'm not saying there's not more petty beefs about, you know, Costa Rica. So, hey, man, put them in the comments. I'd like to hear them. I always love your feedback. All right, man, things are gonna pop up. My videos, you should always do your research and your homework before visiting or living anywhere, and I think my videos are a good place to start. Anyway, guys, I'm Michael Allen, travelcostarica.now.com. Peace, guys. Hope it helps.